There are drawbacks to microfilming, including the following. Poorly organized records will be more difficult to use on microfilm, as disorganized information is more difficult to retrieve. Microfilming is costly and so, if poorly planned, can be a heavy expense without adequate benefits. In many countries, microfilm copies of records may not be admissible in a court of law. The preservation of microfilm requires good quality environmental conditions, which can be difficult to achieve. Microfilming requires high technical standards. If these are not achieved, the benefits of microfilming are outweighed by the drawbacks of poorly produced or rapidly deteriorating films. While it is possible to have commercial agencies undertake the filming itself, it will be necessary for the archival institution to have readers or printers available for public and staff use. Users often dislike microfilm as it can be difficult to use and can cause eye strain and fatigue. Photocopying. Another method of reprography is photocopying. Photocopying has become such a common practice in many archival institutions and offices that the need for policies and procedures is often ignored. However, it is important when developing a preservation reprography program to consider photocopying and to establish appropriate guidelines to ensure the physical quality of the originals and the copies is protected. Although photocopying is a daily practice, it is important to establish policies and procedures to protect both originals and copies. A preservation photocopy is one that utilizes a machine that produces a same-size thermoplastic facsimile image by heat and pressure fusing through electrostatic charges onto acid-free permanent paper. The advantage of electrostatic copying is its relatively low cost and accessibility for smaller institutions. However, best results are obtained when copying textual records that are black and white and are not larger than the average piece of paper. It is effective to photocopy photographs to reduce the wear and tear of reference browsing. The resulting copies are obviously poorer than the original photograph, although the new generation of digital copiers can produce some excellent results. However, for reference purposes, such copies may be adequate. Just as a microfilming program depends on a clear understanding of the purpose, scope, and nature of the work to be done, a photocopying program should be well thought out. Photocopying is an excellent way to protect originals and provide reference copies, although the high like levels generated from copiers must be considered when copying fragile items. Following is a list of main issues to consider when using photocopying as a preservation tool. Usually, only single items or small groups of records will be photocopied for preservation purposes. It is more cost-effective to microfilm large series of records. Photographs can be photocopied, but the quality will not be high unless expensive copying machines are used. Photocopies may serve as useful reference tools, but from a preservation perspective, photographic reproduction of photographs is a better choice. If many copies might be needed of a popular or fragile item, a master copy should be made and stored near the original, so the copy can be used to make additional copies, reducing the need to expose the original to high light levels. Archival quality, acid-free paper should ideally be used for preservation photocopies so that the copy is as stable as possible. Newspaper clippings can be photographed and preserved in place of originals, but whole newspapers are better microfilmed. Since many national libraries have newspaper microfilming projects, it is wise to investigate existing practices before beginning a newspaper microfilm project. When copying bound materials, extra care should be taken not to bend or damage the spine. Some photocopiers have a special cradle that allows for copying of books and bound items without damaging the spine. However, such equipment is very expensive and should not be purchased unless the institution has a regular and heavy need for such work. All copies made should be labeled "copy" in order to distinguish them from originals. Black and white copies made of colored items should clearly indicate that the copy does not present the full spectrum of colors found on the originals. Copies made for researchers should always be labeled reference copy only, and the researchers should be advised that any copyright clearance is their responsibility.